What what is needed? Like, if I have no connections that keep me from doing anything, I can do anything that God calls me to. What is needed?
We have young people that come from all over the world, from Asia, from Europe, from Canada, North America, Africa, that come and serve in different projects. A great many are university students that take a year off to be student missionaries. If you go to the General Conference website, AdventistVolunteers.org, you'll find some calls in Guyana and Grenada. Because I work in that division, I can vote everything through the General Conference. But I don't work in other divisions, so there has to be just direct relationship volunteer. We have orphanages, we have leper colonies, we have prison ministry. Where in Bolivia we have a prison ministry for men and women, and the children inside the prison we have nearly 2,000 children that live with their mothers, and they go in and out while the parents are in prison, and they get abused, they get raped, they get every possible evil thing, and so we're trying to build homes for them on the outside too. But they live in prison to be safer, so they live in prison. And so there's prison ministry, there's for technical people, there's cameras, there's audio, there's television, television production, there's for nurses, for professionals, for non-professionals. We have several pilots that are nurses, some are pilots or doctors, some are dentists, medical people, teachers, construction workers, carpenters. And if you get, like my two daughters and my two nieces that were only 15, 14, and 15, they taught secondary school for a year. They hadn't even finished secondary school themselves, but the question here is they knew more than the other kids. And I can guarantee you that a kid who got a good education in this country knows a lot more than the Indians that don't have hardly anything. So you can be 15 years old without even finishing academy, and you can be teaching secondary school level in some country. There's room for everybody. And as far as families are concerned, families with little children, it's ideal. Families with big children, it's ideal because the big children can continue their life and the families can go down and serve. Families that have teenagers, it's a difficult position to be in because teenagers have a friends issue that's hard to deal with. They're connected to their friends. But on the other hand, if I was going to be moving with my family, I can't think of a better time. If God called me to mission service, I would say, thank you, Lord, right now. Because one day you're going to hear on the news, the crashes happened, hundreds of thousands are dying, and you're going to continue going to school and teaching your classes, and you just listen to the news, and it'll start here in North America. It's going to be a very difficult day for the cities, especially. When you hear the Sunday law is passed, it is a sign to move out of the cities. And I don't mean wait 24 hours. I mean, if once you hear that that is passed, whether it be like a little comment like, well, yesterday they had a little thing that slipped through Congress as an addendum or something, or as a small law was attached, whatever it is, how it happens, the moment you hear, tell your family and friends. They don't even go down to your house to get your clothing, like Jesus said in Matthew. Get out, get out, get out. Because immediately following that, national ruin is coming soon after. And it will happen just like that, and you only have a matter of 2 hours to get out. And what if it's an hour? Don't wait for a month. Don't say, well, we have to quit our job and move our things. No. Once the Sunday law happens, you have no more time. It's measured in hours. Get out. Get out of the big cities. Go to the isolated areas. You're living in a good area here, but some of you have family that lives in big cities. Some of you do. And the big cities are going to be tombs. Near Atlanta, I have the address. If you want to look at it on a satellite, you can go to Google Earth or whatever. But you can go drive there if you want. Near Atlanta, in a little town, the government has 500,000 casket liners in storage. Each one can hold 5 bodies. They each have a lid. And they're waiting in Atlanta. And I bet you every city has one. I bet you every city, major city, has one. The government knows they're going to have to pick up a lot of bodies soon. You don't just store 500,000 casket liners just because you want to store something. And a friend of ours that works in this, I shouldn't say a friend of ours, it is a friend of ours that has there, but he said he works in the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, and he was retiring. And they told him, we don't want you to retire yet. And the United States government paid him 2 years to put in morgues, massive morgues, all over the country. That's his job right now, putting in massive morgues all over the country. They know what's coming. Well, don't we know what's coming too? I mean, they know some things that we should have known a long time ago. And people who know what's happening, they're preparing for it. That's why we should also prepare. We're not here to be conspiracy theorists. We're here to get ready. We know what's coming. It's been told us already. So it's time for us to listen, read the spirit of prophecy. God's not going to surprise His people. He's not going to surprise His people. Ye brethren are not of darkness, that day should catch you as a thief in the night. So therefore, as a family, as individuals, whatever your case may be, make some decisions which will carry you into full-time. By the way, full-time mission service is where it's at. I don't mean necessarily overseas. I mean working full-time under God, dependence on God. That's the ideal. I will never go back to a salary if I can help it. I have 250 professionals, doctors and dentists. I have more overseas missionaries than many divisions have. I have over twice as many overseas missionaries in the Inter-American Division and in the South American Division. And they're all volunteers. I have doctors and dentists and pilots. The division can't even afford to hire them, and they work for me for free. When I say they work for me, you understand, not for me, but with me, right? With the organization. And they are working out there. God is providing for their needs. And they're learning that God is faithful. And so the ideal situation is to be less and less dependent on man and more dependent on God. Because once you learn to depend totally on Him, there's no fear for the future. Who cares? I've already done this for 12 years, by the way. 12 years since the last time I saw a paycheck. My wife still works occasionally as a nurse when she's in the States. She's working this week. And our daughter's getting married in Australia in October. And I'm going over with my wife. They're going to pay for our tickets because I speak. And when I go on a speaking appointment, there's always a church that's willing to pay to have a week of prayer. They'll pay for our tickets. But she's working so she can afford to take our 2 sons along. So she's working and putting it into savings accounts so we can afford to buy a ticket for the boys so they can go to their sister's wedding. So that's appropriate, of course. But I'm just saying there's no fear for the future. If there's no food to buy, and I've done my best, God will provide. And you know what? If there's no food, period, there's manna. Incredible, there is. The same God who gave manna for Israel can make it happen again. So this is the ideal. Aim for the ideal. Let go, let go, let go. Trust more, trust more, trust more. Risk more, risk more, risk more. And finally, let's go home together.
Katrina went through New Orleans.
That's my daughter's name.
Oh, wow.
And our other daughter's called Lena. And we saw a news report that said, and this is Lena reporting on Katrina.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was good.
So you named them out of prophecy, is that what it was? There were individuals talking about how people tried to leave New Orleans, and they were stopped at the county line or border. I had heard it was more by local people. They said, you'll go back home, you will not come and ransack our places. I wondered if you'd heard anything about that and whether it was actually military who had turned them back at that point in time.
The people I've talked to that are from New Orleans, it was military. They were not allowed to leave. They tried to cross the bridge. They were locked off. And then the helicopters came and blew their food off the bridge, and they were stuck there and had to go back. And basically New Orleans, the best I can tell, and I'm not an authority on it, but the best I can tell is they were doing an experiment. They were trying to see what happens to a city when nobody comes in and nobody goes out. And it was a mini test run. So basically, they were all guinea pigs. They just let them ransack. Policemen were breaking into homes and stealing food with using their weapons and everything. Policemen became just as bad as all the gang members because they were hungry. And that's what's going to happen in the cities. The policemen, the firemen, everybody that's in there. Of course, the mayor's going to leave on his helicopter. And those who have helicopters of their own, they're going to get out. And those who don't, who have to drive out, that's why the generals told their wives, have your cars packed with food and head to the mountains. You have 2 hours. After 2 hours, you're dead meat. And these wives have found out that all of their other wives have told. Now, we have a nurse down in Bolivia, and her brother is the head of special forces in Iraq. He's one of a special corps of force. And she talks to him once a week. He left the church years ago, so she talks to him and prays for him. She said, hey, brother, I need to ask you a question. Is it true what David Gates told us? That once a crisis happens, that people have to leave within 2 hours and everything is going to be sealed off? He was silent for a while and he said, yes, but only the military was supposed to know that. Yeah. And this is, whether you hear it or not, most people won't